this state to feel seen, heard, and supported, not marginalized and targeted because they are not straight, white, and Christian. We cannot let hateful people tell you otherwise, to scapegoat and deflect from the fact that they are not doing anything to fix the real issues that impact people's lives.
That was Democratic State Senator Mallory McMorrow of Michigan in 2022. She was defending herself after a fellow lawmaker falsely accused her of wanting to, quote, groom and sexualize kindergartners simply for standing up for LGBTQ youth and other marginalized groups. The Democratic State Senator from Michigan, Mallory McMorrow, is back with me. Senator, you reflect on that moment in your new book called Hate Won't Win, Find Your Power and Leave This Place Better Than You Found It, in which you write, quote, to hell with this place, with these people, I thought. I'd given up my career, my business, years of my life, and my time, my energy to try to work together. They'd blocked my bills. They'd called me a stain on the institution. They'd painted me as a carpetbagger, a ditzy, inexperienced girl, an idiot. They'd brushed me off. They'd slandered me in the most vile way imaginable. I wasn't a person to them. I'd had enough, end quote. So talk to me about that. You took all that frustration and you decided you were going to channel it into something. Tell me about that process.
That's right. You know, when I entered into that moment before I gave this speech, I was convinced this was the last speech I was ever going to give. I felt like I had failed as a legislator because of how badly the other side of the aisle treated me and blocked all my legislation. But what I found was the response to that speech. Millions of people all around the country who watched it, who wrote me letters, who said, this is exactly what we need, reminded me that my power is not just in my title. And that is the impetus for this book, that every single one of us have this power to participate, to use our voice, to get out there. And I think that's something that we really need in this moment. And I hope that people use this book as a guide to find their own voice.
The title of the book is Hate Won't Win. And if one were being cynical, they could argue that in the short term, at least as of last November, in some cases, hate does win. How do you suggest the country fight back against the hate that is currently, that we're in the moment, and yet pivot in some way to overcome hate in the long term for the survival of our politics?
Look, this is about the long term. For every step forward that we view as progress, there are people out there who view that as a step backward and will immediately start kind of fighting against us to take us back. And that's what we're seeing right now with the targeting of marginalized communities, with the weaponization of these culture war issues. We're exactly where we were. And I think a lot of people might read the title and say, but hate did win. I get really frustrated when I hear elected officials say things like, this is the most important election of our lifetimes, because it implies that if we just vote for the right person, everything is going to be fixed. And that, to me, is a false promise. So what this book lays out, it's a lot of what I learned, is that we have to participate every single day in our communities, in our country, to make the future that we want. It's not going to be done for us by any elected official. So I break down in this book exactly how I've seen it done successfully. And I hope that what we see on the ground, as we talked about earlier in the show, people are starting to get engaged, to figure out how can I be effective. And based on that, I think we're going to be okay. But it is going to take that sustained effort to drive us over the next 4 years.
Yeah, it's got a lot of how-to in the book. On page 235, you write, perhaps in redefining our relationship with our heroes, just people, it won't take hitting rock bottom to inspire the necessary action. Just people run for office and run campaigns, and just people need more people like you to help. For every change that we consider progress, we have to recognize that there are people from opposing views and hopes and goals who will immediately pull in the other direction. It's not a linear path. It's a tug of war, and it will require habits that we create and commit to throughout our lifetimes. What are those habits? It's a very instructive paragraph, but what are those habits that you talk about?
So I've talked to a lot of people, especially over the last few weeks, who say that they're already burned out, that with the onslaught of bad news from this administration, that they can't call and email on every single issue. So what I advise is that people really think about what motivates you, what drives you, what's the one issue that you can focus your time and energy on, trusting that if all of us do that, if we all find our one issue and we focus there, that we are going to be okay. So when you give yourself permission to turn off your notifications, to stop doom scrolling social media, and you get engaged on whether it's gun violence prevention or water quality or parks, if that's something that you really care about, what's the one that drives you, then you can pace yourself just like you would learning any new skill, so that this can become a daily habit, something that is just part of your life and not this extreme thing that we have to do only when times get really bad.
I think the pacing yourself and the idea that if you can do something, whatever it is, anything you're doing to improve the situation improves the situation. Free someone else up to do something else. I think it's a great message. Thank you. Great to see you. As always, thank you. Democratic State Senator Mallory McMorrow of Michigan is the author of a new book, Hate Won't Win. Find your power and leave this place better than we found it. The book comes out on Tuesday. All right, coming up, as Russian attacks on Ukraine